Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer, and this is a video about the full moon in Virgo occurring on March 7th, 2023 at 7:40 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local times. A couple of announcements and a question for you guys. If you'd leave the answer in the comments, that would be great. First of all, the March calendar is open if you were hoping to get a reading with me in the near future. It looks like you'll have the availability to do that sometime right around mid-March. Please book now, as the calendar can at times fill up pretty quick. I'll be doing first look at the next lunation at the very end of this video. So if you are curious about what happens after the full moon in Virgo, which will be the new moon in Aries, stay tuned until the very end, where I'll give you a preview of where this energy progresses. P.S. It's going to be one of the most exciting new moons of 2023. So definitely have a listen for that. And given the nature of the way energy is moving and unfolding at this time, at the before first look, but at the end of the full moon in Virgo update, I'm going to go through a series of resources with you on this particular lunar update, because these resources will provide for you a place where you can get support to utilize and leverage this energy and the progressive energy of 2023. 2023 has a very particular vibe to it, a very particular frequency. It's very much about getting into your divine creatorship as a divine creator incarnate. And there's many reasons for that astrologically. The movement of Pluto into the sign of the people. Where Pluto goes, power flows and follows. Pluto in Aquarius happens this month. Saturn into Pisces happens this month. Saturn in Pisces is all about grounding your spiritual capacity into the third dimensional reality to actually use it, having boundaries and wholeness with it. And then we have a significant amount of planetary energy moving through the sign of Aries, which is all about new beginnings, the new, the next. And it's about action. It's about taking initiative. And the only way to get the most out of this energy is for you to really step into your power, your integrity, your capacity to act and take initiative, to really leverage that divine spark within you and bend the third dimension to your will. Really leverage things like faith and prayer and declaration and decree and ownership and your spiritual authority and what you were created to be in order to utilize this energy. If you're hoping the planets are going to move stuff for you this year, they won't. Last year was a lot of that. The planets did do a lot of movement. They made us very uncomfortable in 2022, hoping to help us, nudge us, pull us, yank us, poke us, prod us into the place where our higher self has been asking us to go. And this year, now that we did so much heavy lifting in 2022, and we've cleared a lot of the way for new things to unfold this year, but those new things don't unfold without our participation and without our hand. And so, especially because of the way we ushered in this year with a Mars retrograde, Mars being the ruling planet of Aries, that really colored Mars being about action, that really colored the grounding frequency, the catalyzing frequency of 2023 being all about action. And now we're stepping into the season where it's like action upon action upon action. It's like compounding imperativeness that you act in alignment with what it is you've been shown is the right next step for your life. So At the end of this video, I'm going to provide you with resources that I have been using to get reconnected to that part of myself, to strengthen that part of myself, so that you guys too can find your way, your next step on that path. Now, if someone would be willing to just timestamp below this video where first look begins and where resources begin, that would be amazing, so that people can skip that, come back to it if they want to. That would be really cool. And then the last question I have for you before we get into this energy for the full moon in Virgo is, you guys know the last several years in the spring, I've always taught a workshop. Most of the time it's been astrological. Last year I did shadow work where we dropped into Chiron energy and had a look at how you can transform your woundedness into wisdom and really step into leadership with it. The year before that, I believe we did like the timing of union workshop, and can't remember what we did prior to that. But all of these workshops tend to be one day only, astrologically based. They run about 3 to 4 hours, and it's an opportunity for you to deep dive on one astrological concept. I've been thinking, based on where the energy is, the right thing to do is to really look at integrating your divine masculine and divine feminine energy. What is your personal signature and flavor of divine masculine and divine feminine energy, and supporting you to understand that through your chart so that you can operate in power in those places in your life, instead of thinking, well, I was born with these bits and parts and I'm a feminine and therefore I should do da 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 da. There's actually a really unique thumbprint that you have for your feminine energy and your masculine energy that's going to be very different from anyone else's based on when you came in. So if you're curious about that kind of soul blueprint around masculine and feminine energy, let me know in the comments. The other one I was thinking is about how your divine creatorship works. That would be a very separate workshop where we have a look at what creatorship looks like in your chart and how to foster and facilitate creativity, leveraging your personal blueprint and your astrology. So you guys let me know what it is you want to see. I'll also be putting this in the community page so that we can create that workshop for the spring. And you guys, if you have a different idea, let me know that in the comments as well. Thanks for listening to all of the announcements. God bless you guys. Here we go. Here is our full moon right here at the 16th degree of Virgo. We've got 16th degree of Pisces opposite it. That's where the sun sits. Sun opposite moon is what makes a full moon. And it has some significant implications for our internal masculine energy, as well as our divine creatorship energy as well. Okay. Now in the lunar, hang on. Let me just find this. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we've got moon opposite sun, as I said. So here's the sun, here's the moon, and we've got sun connecting to Nessus there. That's that one with the N. And we've got sun connecting to Neptune here, and we've got sun connecting to Mercury here. So Mercury, Nessus, the sun, and Neptune. What's interesting is that when you have Neptune and Mercury, things can get very cloudy. We're dealing with perception of things that are not available to see or perceive in the world of our third dimensional senses. Neptune elevates our capacity to perceive with our sixth dimensional senses, or our sixth senses, I should say. We've also got an energy here. Nessus talks about obsession or OCD or rumination, kind of circling around something. And because we're dealing, and there's a very specific nature with this, like what are we perceiving in the realm of our six senses? What's coming up? There's a signature to that, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but I just want to bring you into the overarching theme, which is that information is now presenting to our consciousness that has nothing to do with what is happening in reality in the third dimension. So we could have information presenting to our consciousness that has to do with the future and what we want to create. That's called being visionary. We can have information presenting from the past in our consciousness and what happened that we didn't see, and it's not happening right now, but it's presenting in our consciousness right now. That's called memory, right? And then we can have information presenting that has to do with our response to vision or memory, right? And that would be like fear or faith. So our response to things that happened in the past, potentially being triggered by those same things again, we might go into fear, things that we'd like to see created in the future. And our response to that could be faith, right? So the duality here is that this energy in itself, it's neutral. Mercury, our perceiving capacity, Nessus, our looping capacity to kind of ruminate on a thing, Sun, all about identity, Neptune, connection to spirit, right? And so all of this is neutral, and this can go either way. Whether we lean into faith, lean into fear, dig into the future, dig into the past, all of what's being evoked with this full moon in Virgo are things that are not tangible with the eyes, with the hands, with the ears right now, this minute. They're things that exist somewhere in the realm of imagination. And this is really important to get. The things that are going to come up right now aren't things that we can tangibly touch, tangibly see, tangibly name. It's all in our heads. Okay. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's a neutral thing. Now, typically, when we see moon, Neptune, Sun, and Mercury all together, not to mention Nessus, but certainly Nessus in the mix, what we have in the mix coming up in the realm of, hey, I'm perceiving things that aren't necessarily there. Either I'm visioning something or I'm fearing something, right? All of that tends to be about our capacity to create in some way. At its core, we have the ability to create with this information. Okay, this full moons are always about completions of a cycle, and this is a full moon. And here, the moon's rests, the arching planetary influence rests in the sign of Virgo, and Virgo is about discernment. It's about decision. It's about dedication. It's about focus and service. So what we have going on is this thing with these guys here, we frequently see that kind of combination, Neptune, Mercury, and the sun and the moon in the charts of two types of people. We see them in conversation with people who are like our visionaries out in the world. We see them in the charts of Martin Luther King's, Nelson Mandela's. We see them in the charts of people of Gandhi's, the kind of people who have a vision of a way life can be that doesn't presently exist. And they are literally calling it out of the ether and into the world. And we also see the same planets at play when we are witnessing addiction unfold in certain people's charts, whether it's addiction to work or sex or gaming or drugs or a substance or any other type of behavior, right? Addiction, again, it's a coping mechanism and response to things that are unfolding in the non-tangible world. Many times it can be a response to trauma that has ended, but is still being lived in the body in the third dimension in some ways. So the trauma is not actively unfolding in a person's life, can't touch it, can't see it, but it happened in the past. And the coping mechanism can become addiction. And the coping mechanism for these visionaries is to then act on the vision, right? It's faith. It's like relentless. I'm just going to take actions on things that I can't see, but I want them to be. Same energy can create two very different results. And it's so important that you understand that the energy itself is neutral. It's what we do with it that then creates and facilitates an outcome in our lives. Okay. So in this energy, we might see some old addictions coming up. For those of you that have walked a path that has included any type of addiction, we can see some of that unfolding in this energy, especially because we've got a lot of triggering energy right here, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But what's happening, because this is a full moon in the sign of health and well-being and discernment and decision-making, there's a real opportunity to make a quantum leap, to catapult, to close addictions at this time. Okay. There's a real opportunity to go into, you know what, I'm not seeing the reality I want, but I know that I will not repeat the reality that I have had. I'm choosing not to respond to the trigger in the same way. I have previously responded in fear, but now what I want to respond in is faith. That opportunity is within us in our divine creatorship because we have so much energy here in Aries, all about initiative, cardinal signs, so many placements here in cardinal signs, all about beginnings, and so much energy here in mutable signs, all about change. With a completion cycle in the world of health and well-being, this is an opportunity to get out of any ruts we may have been in that have had us respond to old triggers in old ways and start responding to them in new ways, which is super exciting. Again, themes around initiative, action, and choice are key. Okay. So we have this thing that's going on that's like seeing what's not actually there. That's neither good nor bad, right? We have this thing going on that's about closing out things that haven't been healthy or helpful for us. Full moon is talking about that here. And so ultimately, we can be in a place of delusion or deception, either about ourselves, our past, our future, or about other people. We can be thinking the worst. We could be catastrophizing. We could be sitting in fear and discouragement, sitting in heartbreak and sorrow and what happened, past tense to me, not present tense, happening right this moment. Or the same energy can be used as visionary and creative, what I want to happen, getting into your artistic ability, your creative ability, and your spiritual capacity to call things out of the ether and place them into the world. Now, the second reason action is so critical here. So you see moon here at 16 degrees, you see sun here at 16 degrees, roughly 90 degrees from them, we have Mars. Now, Mars has been on an extended journey through the sign of Gemini. Gemini is often about choices, but specifically about exploring our choices. Mars itself is about taking action. We had Mars moving in apparent retrograde motion from about September, in the retrograde zone from September of last year, full retrograde all the way through, I believe it was about January of this year. Then Mars turned direct. Mars is hanging out in the sign where the retrograde happened. And it's been all about revisiting our past choices. Did it work? Is it working for us? Are there things that we can try that can work better? Action, action, action. Mars is all about action and initiative. Okay. So now we have Mars pulling in tension between our identity, our emotions, and our choices, and looking us square in the face and saying, so what are you going to do? Because your life can take one of two paths. That's Gemini, the double path. But which path it is going to take is going to be incumbent upon the fulcrum point here, which is your choices, your actions. And where all choice and action originates from, this couldn't be more specific about divine creatorship, is thought. And here we have Mars hanging out in the sign of thought itself, and that's Gemini. So there's a radical invitation on the table to get cognizant, be accountable, make choices about what you're thinking, what story, that's Gemini, Gemini's stories, that you're telling yourself about what you've been through, where you're at, and where you're headed, because it's that story that's going to really dictate what happens next. So I've been talking about this since last year, that we're in the middle of this passageway that is like an opportunity for a quantum leap, an opportunity to move forward into something new. There's a fork in the road at this moment in time, and we're all encountering it in our lives. And this fork in the road is demanding that we have a look at, okay, here's what's occurred up until now. What do you want to happen after now? Use your divine creatorship to facilitate it. Now, let me just see. What's unique about this is, in order to come out of some of the fear stuff that we may be experiencing, and fear is running high right now, and there are some reasons for that having to do with Pluto that I'm going to get into, and Chiron that I'm going to get into, but I want to shortcut you to the answer right now. Anytime we have a T-square in the astrology, meaning we've got two planets opposite one another and a third planet at roughly 90 degrees from the two that are opposite, we have occupation in one of the modes of three planetary bodies. So all of the modes are ways we respond to what life throws at us. Right now, we're dealing with the mode called mutability, which is our ability to flex and bend and change and shapeshift. We've got occupation from 3 out of the 4. We've got occupation of the sun in Pisces. That's our identity. We've got the occupation of moon in Virgo. That's our emotions and needs. And we've got occupation from Mars and Gemini. That's our action. This creates a lot of tension, these 90-degree and 180-degree angles. The one mode that is not included, and it's just like, why isn't this one included? It's so loud. So the one mode that can relieve tension is Sagittarius. And if you in your creatorship incarnate can live in Sagittarius energy, you can balance this stuff out. The tension of this gets ameliorated. What is Sagittarius energy? Sagittarius energy is the energy of truth. It's the energy of faith. It's the energy of our beliefs. And it's the energy of education. And so for some, there's going to be some very obvious truths that you're going to need to face in this so that you can stop holding your future hostage and running loops and stories from the past. For some of you, it may just be as simple as, I created that mess, and in my creator self, I can uncreate it. Now, for others of you, there's going to be some truth around the fact that in order to get out of situations that you have been in that have not worked for you, You're going to need to educate yourself. You're going to need to rise up. Some of you are going to recognize with this, okay, if I don't want to repeat certain things, I'm going to have to learn new business skills, new communication skills, new relationship skills. I'm going to have to educate myself to get into a place where I'm no longer ruminating about the past repeating or feeling separated from a vision of the future that I don't know how to attain. The bridge between now and the future you want is going to be an owning that you don't know enough yet. Not that there's anything wrong with you. You're fine. You just need to educate yourself in order to get there. Okay. Basic truth, we all have to educate ourselves at different moments in time in order to be able to evolve. And you embodying Sagittarian energy is what's going to alleviate this being in the vision and some of the triggers and woundedness that's coming with it that we're going to talk about next here in Aries. Okay. So let's get into that part because, like I said, this energy is neutral in and of itself. However, there's a little bit of a pull here from some places that may have been that may be challenging. So we've got Pallas sextile the full moon. Let's talk about that. Okay, here's Pallas. Here's the full moon. There's a lot of feeling emotionally self-protective here. Pallas is our protection energy. She sits in Cancer, the sign of protection. The moon deals with our emotions. That energy feels a little bit like emotional contraction in this. Okay. Some people with this are going to do what they've always done with some of their triggers. Okay. Virgo represents our habits where the moon sits. There can be some self-soothing that may be healthy. There may be some self-soothing that's a bit self-sabotagey. You're going to know and notice this because, like I said, their triggers are up and many are going to be looking for relief from their typical response from triggers. And Virgo represents our habits. Virgo full moon, habits are under inspection. This Pallas thing is saying, hey, I want to protect my emotions from feeling things that may not feel good. What do you normally do? Some people have very healthy responses to feeling triggered. Other people have responses that can sometimes undermine them. So the option here is to do something new, something more emotionally prudent, as Virgo represents our dedication to our health, putting us in a place of greater emotional safety rather than less. Okay. There's a lot of hope in this energy that I like to see, with Uranus being trine this particular full moon. I love to see Uranus in the mix. Both Uranus and the full moon are in earth signs that are letting us know the third dimension is shifting. It's Rubik's cubing. It's MC ushering all over the show. I don't know if you guys have ever seen any of the Harry Potter movies where the Hogwarts castle that they all go to school in has staircases and walls that can shift in real time at command. This is what's happening here in our worlds through the capacity. And this here is God's spark energy. It's divine energy. It's the hand of divine intervention that moves lightning quick. That's Uranian energy. When you have that kind of energy, speaking to a full moon like this, there's a capacity to elevate, to grow, to transform lightning quick. Quick divine insights, quick vision, quick quitting, quick changing of any unsupportive habits or behaviors here. This is like cold turkey. Yeah, I used to do that thing when I got triggered. I'm just done. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just done. So if there's been anything unsupportive and unhealthy in the world of habits, This is the energy in which just like overnight that kind of thing can shift, which is good because what's happening is it almost feels like we're being tested. The energy of the triggers is here, right here in the first sign of the zodiac, that's Aries, right as we're stepping into a new cycle, a new season. We've got some major energy that's like, yep. So you think you're new? Look at this old thing. Yep. You remember that thing that happened to you? What's interesting is that what's happening is just as we're stepping into our new thing, new vibration, new energy, new horizons, new vantage points, some of the old triggers are rearing their head and knock, knock, knocking, poke, poke, poking, asking you to like, okay, well, see, are you going to do some old stuff or are you going to do some new stuff? It's almost like a little bit of a test, some of this energy. Okay. If 2023 feels like your year to change something, to get into a healthy habit, to release an unhealthy one, know that there's tremendous astrological support to this. And as I mentioned, there are some things that I mentioned at the beginning of this video that speak to that. I'm going to continuously speak to that at each lunation. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of encouragement. They're just these like, okay, new energy. Are you going to do a new thing? Little test kind of moments. Okay. And if you're curious about, okay, how do I make this work in the arena of my life? You can always have a look at all of this in your astrological chart privately with me. You're like, okay, I want this new thing. This is where I'm stuck. We can pinpoint the specific places of opportunity in your chart to achieve the new thing that you have been working toward. We can really delineate the specific path that you're being guided to take. We can illuminate that path so it's clear for you if you want guidance around that. I've got availability in the next 2 weeks as of this video's release. So we can book over at kmoonastro.com. Otherwise, what's interesting here about the kind of triggers that are going on is that they are catalyzing and inviting us to transform. They're triggers. Here we are in our new, but these triggers are old and familiar. Okay. They're things that we have certainly seen before. We've got Jupiter, which is our expansion, hope, optimism, and faith, meeting right up. Right as Jupiter's there, right here is Chiron. Got some old wounds with the I am story amplified. Jupiter amplifies whatever he touches. Chiron in the shadow represents that wounding, and the wounding for all of us in the sign of Aries. Aries is the sign of the I am. It's where you have a repeating pattern and story around I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough, people like me don't get opportunities like that, girls like her don't choose guys like me, I'm never going to make enough money, I'm never going to get healed of this thing. It's just my life to accept that diagnosis. I'm sick. I just don't make that kind of money. No one in my family ever has. Where there's wounding in the I am story, it is going to be amplified at this time. Everyone in my life always abandons me. I'm the kind of person who gets abandoned. I'm the kind of person who gets cheated on. I'm the kind of person who, can never commit. I'm the kind of person that people never commit to. Where you have an I am story that's painting you in a light of less than anything other than your God self incarnate, your creator self incarnate, where you have any I am story that is blocking your capacity to have precisely what you want, it is going to be loud over this lunar period. It's going to be up and in your face. And the reason it's loud is because Jupiter amplifies whatever he touches. And the two of them are sitting in the sign of the I am. Okay. There's an opportunity in this, but there's also, which I'm going to talk about, there's Chiron sitting with Venus as well. So right there is Venus and Chiron. Now, Venus speaks about our capacity to receive, specifically love or money, anything of value. What you want to receive, Venus governs. It's our attraction point, our capacity to call it in and let it land. Okay, that's Venus. So here's Venus also speaking with Chiron. And all of this is talking about really having a good hard look as you step into this new. What's happening is what's being revealed to your consciousness through this place of something not in the third dimension, so that your discernment can help you figure it out. What's happening here is this, like, let me show you where you're blocking you. Because the newness is here. The newness is already here, but let me reveal to you where you are so attached to your old story, so running your old story, that you are stopping yourself from really stepping into your divine creatorship incarnate. And that's the beauty of this energy. Okay. We've got this huge opportunity to see it with bright lights and change it. Remember, Cardinal takes initiative, mutable energy shape shifts. Together, these two are talking about bending the world to our will. Okay. It's great stuff. I love this energy for all of us. It is an opportunity to really leverage that divine creatorship incarnate. Like I said, after I do the lunar update, I'm going to give you guys some resources if you're a little stuck around that. Okay. We've got Juno, Eris, square Pluto, and sextile Saturn. So let me show you that. Here's Juno. Here's Eris. And they are squaring Pluto. 90-degree angles bring tension. Okay. And they are sextiling Saturn there as well. Now, fascinatingly enough, here's the Eris talking about old resentments. And here's Juno speaking about partnerships, and in particular, in the sign of the I am, our capacity to have our own back and partner with ourselves. And here's Pluto at the final degrees of the sign that represents structure, work, and boundaries in our life, and an aspect of tension. And here's Saturn here, all about boundaries as well, moving into the sign of spiritual capacity. These things, again, more wounds coming up, nice and loud, crystal clear. But they but I can't just blah, 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 let people do X, Y, Z. And I can't have blah, blah, blah because I went through ABC. But before, I tried it before and it didn't work. All of your, but I can't, but, the universe, God, life won't allow, but other people did. All of your victimhood stories become very loud in the world of Eris and Pluto having a conversation with Juno, which deals with other people. And so not only are we getting the double whammy here of your own I am stories of not enoughness coming up, now there's an added layer to this about not just am I not enough, but here's all the ways that life has proven me right because I have all this evidence from my interactions with other people. See how so-and-so treated me. See how I did in that situation. We have all these justifications for playing small, okay? For folding in the face of our fears instead of stepping into faith and action, okay? In this kind of energy, what we would perceive as failures in the past, the perception of those things as failures they're magnified, they're amplified, and it is there's divine purpose in this. There's intention in this. The point is so that you see the pain of the past, see who you've become in response to it, and then give yourself the opportunity to say, do you like this? Do you want more of this? Or do you want to make a different choice? Do you like what those beliefs, they did what they did. What happened, happened. The way you get up from here is the way your life is going to go. Is this who you want to continue to be? Is this how you want to continue to live? Because in this particular type of astrological weather, you, the listener, the person I'm talking to right now, you have supreme ability to change your story, but you cannot change what you cannot face. And this is a moment of really being able to see it, face it, and then make some new choices in opposition to it. Okay. And what the secondary opportunity here is, this vibe is with us all year. We've got this Pluto moving into formation, squaring the nodal axis. The nodal axis are our choice points between the past and the future. Whenever we have a planet squaring the nodal axis, we get the opportunity to choose based on what that planet brings to the table. What Pluto brings to the table is power. Again, what I said earlier, where Pluto goes, power flows and follows. And the question becomes, are you going to give, South Node represents the past, are you going to give your power to your past? Or are you going to give your power to your future? It's no accident here that Pluto is the ruling planet of Scorpio, where the South Node sits. Scorpio represents transformation, change, the evolutionary process. Well, more so the alchemical process, not evolutionary, because with alchemy, something has to die for something else to be born. It's the process of becoming caterpillar to butterfly. It's the process of lead to gold. But in the shadows, Scorpio also really represents fear. It represents manipulation, control, shut down, shut out. The Scorpio energy can represent a lot of our shame as well. So are you going to give your power to the shadow side of all of that? Are you going to stay in perpetual cycles of dying and being reborn and dying and being reborn? Are you going to move into the promise here of Taurus, which is where the North Node sits? North Node is the direction of collective growth. North Node is sitting in the sign of perpetual spring, perpetual life, perpetual rebirth. It's the sign of self-value. It's the sign of beauty. It's the sign of growth and ever growth. Can you move into a cycle and into a season of really allowing the abundance that's available to you to be yours? Pluto sits all year square to the two of these, saying, the power's in your hand. Choose. Choose. Choose with your actions. Okay. Now, I really like that. There's just such a beautiful energy here to put an end to pain cycles of the past from previous relationships and really step into our ability as divine creators incarnate and to write new stories here. And with Uranus in position, in the position it's in relationship to this new moon in an earth sign, Uranus being in the earth sign of Taurus, and Uranus having met up with the North Node last year. Again, Uranus being the hand of the divine intervention, divine insight, the lightning quick movement of the divine. What we have here is as we get into the lunar updates of this year, Uranus here at this lunation full moon in Virgo, we will have a full moon in Capricorn and a full moon in Taurus as well. These are all the earth signs. What we have here with Uranus banked in Taurus all year is an opportunity to literally, with the power of intention, walk out of one reality and walk into a new one, to literally call something out of the ether and put it in the world. That's visionary. That's seeing the unseen and working as a creator with it in a positive way. A lot of personal power highlighted at this lunation and the next. It's all very amplified at this moment. You may notice at this moment there's faster manifestation happening. Like the minute you think something as a passing thought, it just gets created. I hung out with a friend the other day, and just knowing their chart and knowing my chart, the two of us together have a particular type of synthesis that can manifest things lightning quick. And we just decided to play with it. We were like, okay, what do we want to manifest? Something that's not for us, but let's just manifest something good for a friend of ours. Let's just see what can happen. And I was like, okay, what does a friend want? And my friend was like, oh, that friend of ours would really like to meet a guy. So we decided, the three of us, we'd hang out. And sure enough, it wasn't the night we hung out, but the very next night, that girl met a guy. I don't know what's going to happen with the guy, but she did meet somebody new. In passing, we happened to be talking about weather and whether or not it was going to snow. Shortly thereafter, most of the country got blanketed in some kind of snow thing. There's this capacity to rapidly manifest, especially where you're working with other people who have really stepped into the ownership of their creativity and their creatorship at this time. Creatorship and manifestation it's like the volume and sensitivity of it to be responsive to us as divine creators incarnate is exceptionally high. This is the kind of astrological weather where it behooves me to say to you, be careful with your thoughts and with your words. Because whatever you're casually and jokingly asking for through your thoughts and words and focus has the power to become very real, very fast in this energy. So if there's anything you've been trying to manifest or you want to work on for this year that you're like, I'd really like this or that, but you're not sure how to go about it, we can have a look at your chart and certainly dig into that. And if you would rather this spring workshop be about how do I create, what's my creatorship ability, how do I work with it, let me know. And we can do the spring workshop on that, or we can work on something else. If you prefer that, just let me know in the comments. But if you want to book some time with me, we can do that over at kmoonastro.com. Okay. So we've, like I said, we've got that T-square from Mars about action and choice to spiritual access to the unseen world and discernment here in Virgo. Okay. The way to balance all the energy is to get all up into the truth, really get clear about faith and our belief systems, and to walk in the truth of our power as a divine creator incarnate, and to take initiative. Okay. With cardinal and mutable energy, like I said, is the majority here, there's real capacity to change things in our lives. So I'm going to get into the resource section now and walk you through the resources that I've had access to and really been immersing myself in over, the last several months, and in really trying to work with this energy for myself. This energy is a signature theme of all of 2023. Given the way we have so many planets on the move into signs having to do with creatorship, and the way the year kicked off with some choices about action and creation. And then I'm going to get into first look. So I'm going to start with resources. And if anybody is willing to just timestamp this stuff below, that would be great. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys for your patience. I have set all of this up. I'm going to go through it link by link. All the links are going to be below. And I'm thinking at some point I might just post this stuff on the community page. But a couple of things of note about everything that I'm about to share with you. Thing number one is that these aren't definitive answers or definitive resources. They are just the resources that I have encountered in my life that have been particularly constructive and instructive in the path of being a divine creator incarnate. Thing number two, if you've got resources around this stuff, people you've listened to, teachers who have helped you, link them up below. I normally do not permit links in my comment section, but if you've got a link of somebody who has demonstrably assisted you in the becoming a divine creator incarnate, really operating those gift, skills, and abilities in your world, link it below. I'm not talking about things you've heard about. I'm talking about things you have seen demonstrated resource and support from. So if you've heard about something, don't link that. If you have interacted with something and it actually worked for you, link that. Okay. Whether it's a book or a coach or a recording, feel free to link that. I do have strong spam filters, so don't spam my comments because those will get deleted and you will get blocked. And lastly, I will say this is part of kind of a greater movement within my work that I'm recognizing I'm really being called into. And it's always been there. I think if you've been listening to me for an extended period of time, you've heard this thread, but the language around it is becoming very clear. My desire and my hope, even though I'm standing on the side of the bridge of helping you perceive your reality, my goal in the work is to always assist you in moving from perception to creation of your reality. One of the gifts that we all really appreciate when we're listening to somebody who's a reader or a channel or an intuitive of any capacity is their capacity to see and name with specificity that which isn't there. But reality is something that's created. Our experiences are something that has the capacity to shift. Somebody could predict something for you and that thing not happen specifically because of choices that you personally are making or are not making to get in alignment with the movement of energy. That's how powerful you are. You have the power to negate things that are foretold for you or to create things that have been people have denied to you in fortune telling. And so my stance for you, my hope for you, my prayer for you, my work for you has always been, I'm going to tell you what the energy is and how you can harness it to become more powerful, to stand in that creatorship. And so even though I'm saying, here's what the energy is looking like, I will also work hard to tell you, and here's how you can use it. Here's what the options and opportunity are for empowerment and for creatorship. And so as we step into this year of divine creatorship incarnate, I want to be really specific about my intention in sharing this with you. It's to move you out of dependency on people who can perceive reality for you and to move into your divine capacity to create your reality. So let's talk about these resources and then we'll get into first look. I encountered many years ago, around 2020, an author of this book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It was written in 1925 by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. The early 1900s was filled with a lot of people who were having conversations about how to create reality. There was a period of relative prosperity that had occurred in the world for reasons we won't get into right now, because it would be way too difficult to try and explain all of that. But people had a level of leisure time and then opportunity to start the process of looking into their divine creatorship abilities as we moved into this kind of height of the industrial age. Florence Scovel Shinn was one of these people that had teaching and wrote books specifically about how to work with manifestation ability. It's an older book, it's a short book, but you'll find that it's extraordinarily illustrative. I'm talking about tangible information. Do this, do that, and do the following, and then you will receive answer to prayer. You will receive illumination about faith in action. You will receive specific insight on how to move the third dimension in alignment with your will. Okay. Now at that time, she was dealing with a strong, like Christian, almost revivalist kind of movement. So it was really based in that language, although what she's talking about are universal principles of divine creatorship. If you're not a reader, no problem. There's audiobook, there's hardcover. But you can also just find the book on YouTube and listen to it there, The Game of Life and How to Play It. There's different people who have recorded it and made it available for free right here on YouTube. Strongly recommend you get your own copy of it though, and really take a look at the words and let those words soak in for you about and how to apply them to your own life. The next resource that comes from a similar time period is the author Neville Goddard. Some of you may have heard about him. He went around, he was a lecturer, I believe in roughly the 1950s, late 1940s, early 1950s. He came to America from Barbados specifically and became a performing artist. He was a dancer in theater and encountered a teacher from Ethiopia who taught him how to harness his divine creatorship abilities and some of the demonstration stories he has and the plethora of books that he has written and in the talks that he shares give you a deeper understanding of precisely what your divine creatorship abilities are, how they work, and how to use them. You'll find that the books are certainly helpful and constructive, but again, if you're more of a listener than a reader, all you have to do is go to YouTube, type in Neville Goddard. You'll find that there are some of his live talks from the 1950s literally available for recording right here on YouTube. This is how I manifest anything, how to ask the universe before sleep, dwell in the desire fulfilled. All of these things will help you understand what your capacities and what your gifts are as a divine creator incarnate. Okay. Along those lines, one of the last living links to Neville Goddard has long since passed, is the grandfather of this gentleman. This gentleman's name is David. He runs a channel here called Elmer O. Locker Jr. Elmer O. Locker Jr. is David's grandfather. David's grandfather sat in on lectures with Neville Goddard and told Elmer, particularly, here's how you work and manifest stuff. This is what Neville taught me. This is how it works. There was a period in David's life where he was in prison and he really leveraged the things that his grandfather taught him from Neville Goddard to change his life 180 degrees. He started this YouTube channel where he really breaks down the specifics of how this stuff works step by step and provides meditations as well as ways to work with this in real time. One of the most fun things about the Elmer O. Locker Jr. channel is that many times underneath the videos where he provides a meditation, you will see that people have listened to the meditation and got very specific results by really leveraging the tools that David is teaching. Highly recommend subscribing there. One of my other favorites at the moment happens to be Simply Create with Elle. Now, what I'm going to say about everything you've heard so far, Florence Scovel Shen, Neville Goddard, and then Elmer O.J. Locker, whose work is really based a lot on Neville Goddard's work, but also other work, you will find that much of what they are sharing comes from the background of things that are, I'm going to say really clearly, biblically based about your who and how you were created as a reflection of being made in God's image. Now, if you find yourself really struggling, as I have in the past, with church-based, scripturally endorsed trauma, right? People have used biblical scripture to separate you from your direct connection with God, to try to tell you that you can't hear from the universe, you can't hear from God. What you're interpreting this as isn't what it should be. You should be this person, that person, and really, really beat you up basically with the Bible. If that's you, certainly has been me. The other route you can go is with some of these other teachers that I have here. I love Simply Create with Elle. If you need this kind of stuff broken down without that particular narrative involved, that's fine. If you're in a place where that narrative, your heart is closed to that narrative, that's fine. I will say that these people, they're not your typical biblical people. So if you are hoping for a conversation that is very different about kind of Bible and scripture and Christianity and all of that stuff, you're going to get it with the teachers that I have just recommended, which I have found very liberating and very healing. If you can't go that route at all, your heart's just closed to that path. Listen, I've been there. I get it. Check out Simply Create with Elle. I absolutely love the way that she breaks down leveraging your spiritual authority as creator incarnate to be able to have what it is that your heart has been revealing to you is your truth. She really focuses a lot on relationships, but you can certainly leverage everything she's talking about in the arena of money or travel or business or family dynamics. Simply Create with Elle is a wonderful resource. She tends to post just about every day, every other day, these very short videos around creation and creatorship. I don't know why I don't like the word manifest, but I like to talk about it in terms of creation and creatorship. But she's got these short videos that really help people understand it from a perspective of getting out of the vibration and frequency of I'm perceiving what's happening and into the role of I'm creating what's happening. Okay. Definitely subscribe to Elle. If you are like, I don't want technique, I just know I need to shift my subconscious mind, but I don't know how to do that, I love your affirmation station. Lots of great videos and content that you can loop or create playlists out of as you sleep. These are wonderful affirmations. I don't know who this woman is. I still haven't figured out her name yet, but she's the way she thoughtfully crafts affirmations in the positive to deeply penetrate the subconscious mind and bring it into alignment with your conscious reality is I've checked out a lot of affirmation stations. A lot of people who do affirmations, I don't love the way they do it. I find that they are frequently filled with the negative and the not. And if you know anything about the way the subconscious mind works, it only impresses upon the subconscious what you don't want. She's really focused on the positive and what you do want and how to create it. She's got a lot here on money. I'm 100% debt free is a great one. Money flows like water. And she also really addresses in some of these that how to build up your capacity to believe in yourself as a creator incarnate. She's got one called God State Affirmations. She's got another one specifically about being the operant power and really standing in your God-given authority, creator-given authority around creating your world. I command affirmations. And then she's got some great ones on love and relationship as well. It's safe for me to love, attract love to you. I am love, loving relationship, divine prayer to dissolve unwanted situations. She like her stuff is deep. I haven't seen anyone be this specific and this gifted at using language to create world as she is. So I highly recommend you subscribe there. It looks like she also has a Patreon if you're interested in going deeper with her. But if words are not your thing, you're like, I cannot listen to somebody repeat things. You just can't do it. Blue Sky Hypnosis. I really love Blue Sky Hypnosis's work. This is a hypnotherapist and coach who can really help with getting in again and training the subconscious mind to the conscious mind so that you can overcome your own humps where you have found you have repeatedly said, I want to do X, and then watched yourself instead go the exact opposite way in self-sabotage. Blue Sky Hypnosis. There's something going on in the subconscious mind that has an overriding need that requires getting met in order to allow you to move in the direction that your conscious choice wants. Check out Blue Sky Hypnosis. If you don't want to go, all in up front, this gentleman has lovely, long, beautiful affirmations. Sorry, not affirmations, but subliminal things that you can listen to, meaning the voice is underneath the sound of like rain or waves or singing bowls so that you can program yourself. And he'll tell you in the description box exactly what is being said underneath the sound of the waves so that you know what you're programming yourself with. He focuses a lot on anxiety and weight loss, but also around relationships and capacity to create success. So all around, there's amazing stuff here on this channel, and you can just put it on in the background while you work or clean or sleep or eat. It's fantastic. Now, many of you know Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's been a wonderful teacher on the science of the way the mind works and the leading edge of consciousness, what we know about quantum physics and reality and the way the third dimension is built. He's got a lot of phenomenal teaching around why our brain works the way it does and how to get into certain states of consciousness that facilitate creation. If you'd like to go to his website, you certainly can. However, he's got a YouTube. If you want to follow him on YouTube, he's got fantastic insight here. He's got this new book that just came out called Becoming Supernatural. And he really talks about how some of the techniques he's created and some of the tools that others have used, not even that he's just created, have actually helped people to facilitate what, in ancient times we would have called miracles. But now, because we understand the science of it, it's just operating your creative power, operating your creation ability incarnate. And for anyone, this is my last resource before we move into first look. For anyone, so these are all like the non-God related things, Elle and Blue Sky Hypnosis and Joe Dispenza. I talked about a few resources that were kind of like more like based on your divine creatorship incarnate. They come from the Christian tradition, but really take it into a context of understanding who you are as a creator incarnate. For anyone who's been on a path of understanding these things from another faith tradition, because I am certain, I just haven't encountered them, but I am certain that there are places in the other Abrahamic faiths, if you're Muslim and you know a creator teacher, if you are Jewish and you know a creator teacher, if you're of the Hindu faith or any of the other Eastern religions and you know a creator teacher, many people here are finding themselves trying to facilitate the constructs of creation without necessarily being connected to the concept of creator. And it's so important to understand if you're going to really leverage source from within yourself and pull source into the outer world, what is the source you came from? And so my personal journey I've had to really work hard to reconcile the way people have used Christianity against me in the past so that I can have a more direct relationship with creation, with source, with the creator, to understand who I am and how I was built. I'm certainly not Bible thumping in that way, but part of my journey has needed for me in terms of my own healing. I've had to really go back in and reclaim what people have used against me in order to own and claim who I really am. And so one of my biggest teachers around that from my faith tradition is this woman. Her name is Romanian Neesmith. She's on a channel called Yielded Vessels Talk. I absolutely adore her. I have not seen anyone who comes from that place, but takes your capacity to understand these things. And I commented on her channel recently about something because I coach with her. And I said, thank you so much for teaching this and this and this and this, because nowhere is anyone talking about this. Everything is about this externalized God concept. You're one of the only people that helps us understand our capacity as creators incarnate and link it back to source. And she says, thank you so much for trusting the God in me. And I responded to her, I said, it's because you understand that God is in you, the universe, the one word is in you, that I do trust you. You are not trying to Bible beat me around any of this stuff. And so that's a piece of your journey as well. I invite you to join her over at Yielded Vessels Talk. You'll find me over there from time to time as well. She's an extraordinary teacher, especially if you've had brokenness in your faith walk around your creatorship and you've been like, oh, I'd rather go the way of perceiving reality, not creating reality because of things done to you in the world of Christianity. This is your girl. She'll help you heal a lot of that. Strongly recommend anyone who's on that particular path subscribe to Romania's channel. She's extraordinary. What I'll say is in closing here, now, again, I'm really trusting that there are these same teachers in other faith paths, Judaism, Islam, Hindu, etc. If you know teachers who foster people's reconnection of truth through religion and reclaim these things for people so that they can have a historical understanding of their creatorship incarnate, please link those people in the comments below. Again, one of the reasons I bring all this stuff up, Sagittarius, the energy that we need to occupy at this lunar update, is all about our faith. It's about what we believe. And many of us have had so much brokenness in our faith path because of things that have happened to us and more traditional pathways that we gave it up altogether. And this is a moment in time, especially 2023, where we have the capacity to reclaim it. And so, again, my hope is that you find your way to the right teacher for you on your path when it comes to that reclamation. Let's go ahead now and get into first look. Okay, I'm going to pull up the new moon in Aries so that you guys can have a look at that. And we will close out there. Okay. Here it is, guys. I am truly thrilled about this. I'm going to say this a lot. I can already tell. This is like my favorite new moon of the year. I know I've already said that, but the energy of 2023 is just so spectacular in so many ways. I love, love, love seeing this. March 21st, 1:23 p.m. 321 23 23. Oh my gosh. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, here is our new moon, sun and moon together at the 0 degree of Aries. I think this is also an eclipse state. I love the newness, the spring renewal. If you're in the northern hemisphere of Aries energy, I see that this new moon is sitting so close to Mercury, which is all about thought form and communication. Again, there's that reminder: what you think becomes how you act. Aries is all about action, and those actions create reality. We've got this beautiful energy. Let me just move that annotation tool out of the way. Opposite series, which talks about seasonality and closing of one season, the opening of another season. In the world of partnership, Ceres is sitting inside of Libra. Things that have previously been unfair, get balance being restored, justice being provided. We've got in this energy, again, we've got Pluto just about to dip into Aquarius for the first time in a few days of this new moon. We've got Saturn already jumping into Pisces, grounded spirituality, power to the people. Such fantastic energy. I love this. We've got Mars here squaring the new moon. This is all about taking action and being thoughtful about our own emotional reality as we do it. Mars coming out of the retrograde zone. Hooray! Finally, we're done with that season. And then right up here, as we have, like I said, Ceres being opposite Libra energy, closing one relationship cycle, opening another. We've got the two planetary bodies that talk about love and relationships, speaking with the North Node here. That's Venus, what we're attracted to, Juno, what we can partner with, the North Node being about the long-term journey, where we're headed, what we're growing into. This is such a critical and beautiful time of moving into our capacity to have new kinds of relationships, new kinds of partnership, new kinds of connections with people in this energy. It's so beautiful in the way that it's giving us the opportunity to either have renewal and close out patterns that didn't work for us in relationship previously, or to have completely new kinds of relationships, to cross the bridge, call in new connections in the now time as well. We still have Jupiter speaking to Chiron in this energy. So there's an amplification of woundedness right as we step into this new, some of our old stories about things that really hurt us from the past are in a position to be right there in our face, asking us to face that story and rewrite it, make a different choice. Love this energy. It's so empowering for all of us and gives us a chance to begin again. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for sticking through this. First look is always a pleasure to be able to do. I love that so many of you told me in the comment section that we love first look. Keep it. Don't take first look away. So I'm going to keep it because you guys told me you loved it. But yeah, if you've got resources around people who can help you in the arena of divine creatorship, link them up below. These resources that I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description box. And if you'd like to read with me, help you figure out what's your path to creation and creating what you want in this year, you know where to find me, kmoonastro.com. Take great care, everyone, and bye for now.